This podcast is sponsored by the book, A Mostly Magnificent Memoir, by Bo Bennett, a hilarious, heartfelt glimpse into growing up in the 80s. Grab your copy at thestoryofbo.com.
The Space Shuttle Launch Legacy, a cool 80s throwback to space exploration. Celebrate the legacy of the Space Shuttle launches, the 80s pop culture phenomenon that inspired a generation and changed space travel forever. Blast off, remembering the Space Shuttle launch legacy. All right, picture this. It's the 1980s. Big hair, neon colors, and tunes from your boombox blasting some gnarly 80s music wherever you go. But while everyone was busy watching 80s TV shows or catching the latest 80s movies, something way cooler was happening in the skies above us: the Space Shuttle launches. These were not just any rocket launches. These were the space versions of the greatest 80s pop culture events. Think of it as the Michael Jackson thriller of space travel: groundbreaking, iconic, and totally unforgettable. The Space Shuttle program, which kicked off in 1981 with the launch of Columbia, literally changed the way we thought about reaching beyond our tiny planet. So why did these shuttle launches capture the imagination of millions? For one, they were reusable. Instead of one-shot rockets, like those old-school fireworks you barely got to enjoy, these shuttles came back home, like the coolest comeback tour of an 80s celebrity. Think Madonna or Prince, but flying in space instead of rocking a stage. Each launch was a spectacle. You'd tune in, feeling the rumble as the engines roared louder than a stadium-full crowd at an 80s rock concert. Kids, parents, and even those picky adults who usually only cared about 1980s fashion couldn't resist the thrill. Watching the shuttle lift off was like watching your favorite 80s action hero, Schwarzenegger anyone, rise up to save the day. Here's some quick fun facts to impress your friends next time the conversation steers toward space, or the 80s. The Space Shuttle launched over 130 missions during its tenure from 1981 to 2011. It was the first spacecraft that astronauts could reuse, changing the economics of space travel forever. Shuttles carried everything from satellites to the Hubble Space Telescope, basically the ultimate space delivery service, way cooler than FedEx or UPS. Some of the most memorable astronauts became household names, much like the 80s celebrities starring in our favorite TV shows. What's even cooler than the tech? The stories behind those missions. There's a sort of magic remembering how a small-town kid from the 1980s, like me, could watch the launches and dream big, maybe even inspired to reach the stars someday. It's a bit like a mostly magnificent memoir, a fun and heartwarming story of a kid from a small town growing up in the 1980s, totally worth checking out here. Because if those shuttle rockets taught us anything, it's that the sky isn't the limit. It's just the beginning. The Space Shuttle program also had its bumps, like the tragic Challenger disaster in 1986, a moment that hit the nation hard, reminding us that space, like life, is full of risks and sacrifices. But even after setbacks, the program kept pushing forward, sending astronauts on missions that built the International Space Station and paved the way for today's new era of space exploration. So next time you hear some 80s synthwave music or see a flash of a neon windbreaker on TV, think about the era's other shining star, a fleet of space shuttles lighting up the sky, representing human ambition and the absolute coolest tech of their time. It's like an epic 80s montage with rocket fuel. Before I rocket off, here's a little reminder. Whether you're into 1980s pop culture, 80s movies, or even just the amazing stories of how we got to space, pick up A Mostly Magnificent Memoir. It's a fun and heartwarming story of a kid from a small town growing up in the 1980s, perfect for anyone who loves a blend of nostalgia and inspiration. All right, space fan, keep looking up and keep the 80s spirit alive.